What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my 2023 NBA mock draft episode. No real intro to kind of talk about. It's the NBA draft. What else? What else is there to really talk about? This is the exciting time of the year. So many guys' lives are going to change tomorrow night. 58 picks in the draft tomorrow night. 58 guys will be selected. So many guys will go undrafted, have that chip on their shoulder, sign with whatever team they feel like, either on a two-way or an Exhibit 10 for the Summer League, show off in the Summer League, and have a bright future going ahead for their franchise and for themselves. I'm Alex McNish. This is your Sports Digest, and here's where we talk about all of the NBA draft stuff, and everything that goes on during this time frame is some of my favorite stuff. I've said it for so many weeks now that this is my favorite stuff. And I know there may not be as many people watching this or listening to this because, the NBA doesn't reach out to a certain audience. I get it. The NBA draft isn't for everybody. Some people care about the stars. It makes sense. But everyone loves a good mock draft, right? Everybody wants to see what picks I am completely wrong on so that I can get absolutely roasted in the next couple of days for being wrong about. So a little bit about my mock draft. You can find all of them on my website, yoursportsdigest.com. It is my name of the podcast, all in one word, I guess, .com. Go there. I have my previous two mock drafts. I have my final mock draft. I have my player big board, free agency updated board with a bunch of stuff going out on there once next weekend hits and free agency opens up the start of the new league year. Everything's going to be going down on this website. Again, yoursportsdigest.com. Follow me on all my socials at yoursportsdigest for everything. Look, this is going to be a lot. I'm only going to do the first 30 picks because the whole second round doesn't really even matter with who's taking them. It's just the guys on where they can go in the second round. So if you want to see the second round, the rest of the picks in there, just go to the website and find the final mock draft. It'll be up by the time that this is posted tonight, Wednesday, the day before the draft. So I'll miss some trades going into the draft. If there is a trade that happens mid-podcast and it is not on my current mock draft that I talk about, I'm sorry. I'm recording this so that you guys can have something going into tomorrow and you can really get an idea of some of the guys. But the trade that has happened in between the last time we talked and now is that Kristaps Porzingis is on the move. He is opting into his player option and will be getting traded to the Boston Celtics, who need a lot more front court help, wanting to space that floor, run a little bit of a 5 wide with a little bit more of a reliable shooter than Al Horford. You get a guy in Kristaps Porzingis. Is a great trade for the Celtics to go ahead and take a swing upside on him. Wizards are getting guys back like Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and the 30th overall pick. And then the Los Angeles Clippers, who are also in this trade, get Malcolm Brogdon from the Celtics. So I think it's an overall win for each team. They kind of get a thing that they all need. But that impacts the draft because the Wizards now own the 30th overall pick, the last pick in the first round. And then another trade that happened today is the Denver Nuggets traded some future picks in order to trade up and get 29 and 32 in this draft. The defending NBA champions trade up into the first round and get a pick that is right out of the first round to help get down on those small contracts. But, man, without further ado, I know we did a little bit of a long intro, I guess, into some of the stuff. Let's just go and run down some of these picks. Some of these will be a little bit more explained than others, I guess, here on the episode. Again, if you want to just read it, maybe you don't want to have or don't have all the time to listen to every part of this episode. You just kind of want to read over yoursportsdigest.com under the final 2023 mock draft tab under the NBA section. I have explanations for everything. You can go check the other mock drafts and player rankings for other breakdowns. Start number one. I mean, this is the obvious pick. We're not going to spend any more time on it than me announcing the pick. It's Victor Wembanyama, the center out of France. He's a generational talent. You've heard about him by now. If you're listening to this, you definitely have heard of him by now. Who will obviously be going number 1 overall to the San Antonio Spurs. Going number 2 to the Charlotte Hornets. I currently have Brandon Miller. It's been a flip-flop back and forth between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. Mainly been Brandon Miller as the guy. They brought him in to both work out and do some interviews on Monday, and it seemed like Michael Jordan was really impressed with Brandon Miller, despite all the other stuff that we know off the court that we're not going to get into. There's some teams that are looking to trade up in the top 3 here, New Orleans being one of those teams specifically. That would be the only team I could see potentially taking this pick away from Charlotte, but I think Charlotte sticks here and picks Brandon Miller at number 2. Moving on to number 3, this is a very controversial pick, but it's Scoot Henderson, and the Trailblazers will be picking here at 3. Again, I'm not going to have any mock trades or anything, so if a trade happens, so be it. It happens. You know, that's kind of just the beauty of the NBA and professional sports in general. But Scoot Henderson going to the Trailblazers here. Will Dame opt to select to be traded? Want to ask out? Maybe play alongside Scoot Henderson? We'd have to find out, but Scoot Henderson is the obvious pick here at 3. He is going to be fantastic. A bunch of teams want to move up into the top 3 to potentially get a guy. Washington, Utah, Toronto, some of the teams just to name off the top of the head that would want to go in there and try to get Scoot Henderson. But I think if you're Portland, you know, you can't really find anything for number 3 overall, the same level of value right now. Maybe they will by tomorrow. But right now, you're going to go with Scoot Henderson at 3 here too. Whether if you trade Dame or not, he's going to play great alongside of him and help him immediately. Number 4 to the Houston Rockets. This has been a flip-flop back and forth between 2 guys, but I'm settling on Amen Thompson, the young guard out of Overtime Elite, the Overtime League. Yes, the social media channel of Overtime. They have a basketball league for high school / college prep kids, and they're eligible for the draft if you are old enough and hit the requirement. Amen Thompson, one of the 2 Thompson twins to be eligible. He'll go number 4 to Houston. Obviously, when you're thinking of Houston, you're thinking of James Harden potentially going in there in the offseason. You don't know if that's true or not yet. Philly is looking like they're going to sign him eventually or bring him back. So whether you know that Harden is going to come or he's going to stay being a factor, go ahead and draft the point guard of the future. Elite playmaker, fantastic defender. Shooting's questionable, but that's something you can work on with a new head coach. He'll instantly make an impact next to Jalen Green and a bunch of those young guys over there in Houston that are looking to get some vets. Number 5. This is an interesting one because a lot of people have moved around the idea of who could be 5. I've seen Asar Thompson at 5. I've seen Jarris Walker at 5. But I'm going to land with Cam Whitmore, the obvious pick if you're Detroit for your fit of a team. It's a small forward, a wing, whatever you want to classify it as, to play alongside Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. That plays off ball really well, spots up in the corner, and can take it off the dribble when needed, blow by some defenders, and attack the rim. Super athletic. Improving on the defensive end, improving in consistency is kind of his 2 big things. But as a defensive player, he is solid right now, really stays in front of guys. He's one of my favorite guys in this class. I think is going to end up being a really good player. And for Detroit, where you have Bogdanovich on the team who's going to eventually be traded, we all know it. And then trading away Sadiq Bey last year, who was their wing scorer, you just got to go ahead and get another one here in Cam Whitmore out of Villanova. Number 6, Orlando, another one I've bounced so many times back and forth, and I think a lot of people have up until now, and it seems like it's starting to settle in that Asar Thompson is going to be the 6th pick here by the Orlando Magic out of the Overtime Elite. Yes, twin brother of Amen, who is going to the Houston Rockets in my mock draft. Asar, elite defender, solid playmaker, great finisher around the rim. You're getting a guy here that, pairing him with Franz Wagner on Orlando, you're creating a defensive nightmare between those 2 guys. You help give Paulo a little bit of relief on the defensive end, allow him to focus on the offensive side. Even though he can hold his own defensively, Asar can hold down some of those other defensive guys that Wagner has been having to guard at guard, let him slide down and guard some wings and other 4s. So Asar Thompson, a really good pick here. Locking in a point guard / shooting guard that can kind of play whatever you need him to do. He can play 1 through 3 for your team. I think he's better than Amen. I just think people are more infatuated with Amen's playmaking skills over Asar's, I guess. So, but I like him going to Orlando here at 6. For 7, there's some rumors that Indiana is going to want to trade this pick for a wing. The only guy I see realistically is OG Anunoby being a trade target for Indy. They wanted to trade for him at the trade deadline last year. Very active, trying to get him. Toronto shut it down. This offseason, it seems like Toronto has only shot down every offer for him and said that they're not dealing with him. Whatever. Screw you guys for not wanting to expand upon your young assets and move them for even more young assets. But the Pacers are going to stick here at 7 and take Taylor Hendricks, a forward out of UCF, a guy that if you hear his name and you hear the school he's coming out of, you're probably like, why is a guy from that school going for basketball that high? Let me tell you, Taylor Hendricks, one of, if not the best defensive player in the country last year as a stretch 4, can play the wing, can play the 4, played some 5 for UCF as well at times in a small ball lineup. Great shot blocker, able to create a shot on his own, great spot-up guy. Overall, a talent that, yeah, sure, you look at it in some of the teams that he's played, and the talent he's played, it's questionable in comparison to the other, SEC or Big 10 or Big 12 guys. But Hendricks' talent is undoubtedly one of the best in this class. He's one of my favorite prospects. He could fall a couple more picks, but I think if you're Indiana, you take the shot right here and make him your starting power forward stretch 4 of the future to pair alongside Miles Turner, which will be very, very, very good as a defensive duo in the paint. At number 8, the talk of the town team right now, the Washington Wizards have this pick. There's some rumors about them trading up. We talked about it a little recently with Bradley Beal, maybe wanting to trade up and try to get Scoot, or maybe try to trade up to get Amen or Asar. But they're going to stick here at 8 and take Anthony Black, a guard out of Arkansas. 6'7", 6'8", depends on where you measure him. Tall point guard, which gives him an advantage. Very Josh Giddey-esque of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Same similar prospect. Questionable shooting, but the defense and especially the playmaking is there for him. It is a proven thing that he is elite on that end. It'll help Washington a lot, especially now trading Bradley Beal, Porzingis, wanting to hit that full reset button. Why not get your point guard of the future in Anthony Black? A lot of teams are going to be wanting to trade up ahead of Washington to get Black, especially the next team up on the board. But I think that Washington ends up with him in their hands, and it's a great pick for them at number 8. And then at 9, the team I just mentioned that would want to try to jump up is the Utah Jazz. They're picking at 9, but they get the consolation prize of a guy who's going to drop a little bit, I think, on draft night when it comes to it. I don't think that there's a lot of teams that are in the dire need of just a defensive guy right now that high in the draft. They're looking for guys that are wanting to play make, to score, all that. So Jarris Walker's going to fall a little bit, but I think he falls right into Utah's lap where Utah wants him to go. And Jarris Walker, forward out of Houston, the defensive player of the year in the American Athletic Conference over Taylor Hendricks. He was one of the best defenders in college basketball last year. A freshman, everybody knew his defensive upside was elite. It was just questions on what is he going to do offensively. He started to find some post-work games, some lob threat down low with Marcus Sasser, the point guard of that team, and then started to stretch the floor a little bit. Didn't shoot as great. I think he shot like 31% from 3 for a while, but the shot doesn't look bad. He's wanting to improve on it, and I think if being in the NBA, you got to improve on it if you have a little bit of a skill. And you're now able to play Lauri Markkanen at the 3 and play this incredible big man lineup that not many teams have in the NBA. A lot of teams going small now. You can play that bigger lineup, especially with athletic guys like Lauri Markkanen and now Jarris Walker. I think you can get that to be pulled off. And with some of their other picks they're going to make here, we'll get up to in a little bit. I think Jarris Walker is a great pick here at 9. At number 10, this is an interesting one because the Dallas Mavericks own the 10th overall pick, and it is very widely known that there is going to be a trade here at number 10. Somebody else is going to be picking instead of Dallas. But for the sake of this mock draft, I'm going to go with somebody I think Dallas can pick or a team that trades up into the top 10 to pick. And that's Derek Lively, the second out of Duke, a former number 1 overall prospect coming out of high school. Really didn't have the greatest start to his freshman year at Duke. Was just kind of known as this only defensive guy with no real offensive ability. And then randomly in the offseason here going into the draft process, he unleashed this incredible looking jump shot that he had never tried before. And it's just like, okay, yeah, you're instantly a top 10 pick. How are you doing? Like, you're showing this type of skill? Come on. So if you're Dallas and you stick here at 10, this is a perfect guy to have alongside Luka. He can stretch the floor a little bit because you haven't had a guy since Porzingis to be that guy to stretch the floor a little bit. But Derek Lively's defensive presence and ability and athleticism allows them to create offense off of it. Going to help for Luka. If you retain Kyrie, helps Kyrie a lot. You have an extra guy down there to run the pick and roll with you. He can catch lobs for you. Be a great guy at 10 if you're Dallas or if you're any of these other teams like Atlanta, maybe Toronto can move up and want to get a center if they move off Siakam. I think that Derek Lively, the second out of Duke, would be a great pick there at 10. And then moving on to 11, outside of the top 10, the first guy I got going off the board is my man, Grady Dick out of Kansas, a forward guard. He's like 6'6". And if you're getting Grady Dick, you're just getting some shots up. That's all you're doing. You're getting a straight shooter, a guy who shot 40% plus from 3 last year at Kansas as a freshman. One of the more highly touted freshmen going into last year. You picked Asar Thompson at number 6. So you go ahead and solidify some shooting and getting Grady Dick here. That was one of their biggest needs, is getting shooting, getting wings that can shoot at a consistent and high clip. Grady Dick would be the perfect guy to get here at 11. This pick is from the Chicago Bulls in the Wendell Carter trade that sent Nikola Vucevic over to the Chicago Bulls. Orlando's picking here at 11 because of that. Number 12, a guy here at number 12 for the Oklahoma City Thunder that has been ranging from, at the start of the draft, the very bottom of the first round, all the way up to the lottery now. I have him here at 12. I think there's a couple people that can go here at 12. But Bilal Koulibaly, a forward out of France. He played on the same team as Victor Wembanyama, so maybe that improved and enhanced his ability to score, to be a better player, and his looks from different teams. But this is a guy who has real 3-and-D potential. If you look at his stats, he didn't play half of the beginning of the season. It was only recently where he's finally started to play. And when he has, he's unleashed a lot of stuff, shooting like 43% on catch-and-shoot threes from all around the court. Incredible defensive player, potentially the best on-ball defensive wing in this class out of all of these guys. He shows great upside on that end. And if you're Oklahoma City, you love drafting these wings. Keep stacking up on the wings. And Bilal Koulibaly out of France. Number 13 here, Toronto. I've been solidified with Kason Wallace being the pick here, but I'm going with Kobe Buffkin, a guard out of Michigan, one of my favorite guys in this class, who, was really a middle first round guy, but has shot up a lot because he is impressed with a lot of the stuff he has put on film and done in private workouts. I like Kobe Buffkin to go here and kind of reset that Toronto Raptors franchise with a new point guard. He can play on and off the ball. I think it's a great pick. Yes, Toronto can still trade up and try to get another guy, but I think Kobe Buffkin here at 13 is a great pick for Darko Rajakovic, the new head coach there, former Grizzlies assistant. At 14 now, the New Orleans Pelicans are on the clock, and they're going to take Jordan Hawkins, a guard out of UConn, one of the best, if not the best, three-point shooter overall in the class. Very vital part of the UConn national championship run on that offensive side of things. Just shot it at an amazing clip. You can see those games whenever he was sick towards the end of the tournament. It was like, oh no, here goes UConn's chances because you don't have your offense here. The Pelicans are accordingly really high on him and his upside. And with a bunch of the guards you have on the Pelicans roster right now, like Alvarado, Dyson Daniels, Guys like that, CJ McCollum, I guess you can even put in there now, aren't even high volume 3-point shooters. So getting a guy like Hawkins in there to be that guy, I think it would be a great replacement for this team. Then again, they could also trade up. There's a lot of talks with Zion and BI and all that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll just kind of see what happens on draft night. At 15 to Atlanta, sure, you have two guards. You have DeJounte Murray, you have Trae Young. I'm still going to pick Cason Wallace here, a guard out of Kentucky, here at 15 for Atlanta, because one, this pick could be traded. There's rumors that Pascal Siakam could be on the move to Atlanta, so Toronto could be picking here. And if you do so, both guards will play next to each other, Buffkin and Wallace, that is. But if you're Atlanta here, you could be trading DeJounte Murray as well. So you're getting a guy like Cason Wallace that is an incredible on-ball defender, can shoot it from three really well, is afraid to kind of really take it to the rack. Not a very good free throw shooter either, but you're looking at it as insurance and a younger, cheaper option to play alongside Trae Young, the DeJounte Murray role that you wanted, a really good on-ball defender to make Trae Young not have to guard anybody that's worth a crap on the other team. So I think Cason Wallace here at 15 is a good pick. Whether the Hawks pick there or not, I think that's a good range for him. 16, Utah is picking right now via the Minnesota Timberwolves here at 16, a part of the Rudy Gobert trade from last season. Jalen Hood-Schifino, a guard out of Indiana, is the pick here at 16. I'm not really too high on the guy. I know a lot of people think his upside is much more than what I think it is, but I guess if you look at his upside, it is good. But for the type of player you're getting right now, you're getting a guy who's a good defender, solid playmaker, can't really shoot the ball, okay mid-range game. You're picking the guy for the prospect, really. And Utah has the timeline to be able to take a shot on a prospect like JHS. And you drafted Jarris Walker back at 9. So this is another pick that can complement that, being a playmaker on offense to allow him to open up ways in the pick and roll game on the offensive things. Or on offensive side of things. So that's Utah's pick there at 16. And now number 17, the Los Angeles Lakers. Everybody wants to know who the Lakers are picking here. Is there a chance that they trade back? Yes, there's a very good chance that they trade back, trying to gain some more assets. But if they stick and pick here at 17, even if they trade back a couple picks. Jett Howard, forward out of Michigan, obviously son of Juwan Howard, the coach at Michigan right now. Jett in his freshman year, there's a lot of people who are really high on him. I really like him a lot too. I think he's a very, very good prospect. And 17 is a little low, but it's realistic for the way that teams are drafting right now. Jett Howard, a great three-point shooter. Guy's going to stick in that corner, come off the ball screens, and hit shots. Great mid-range game. Defensively. As a rim protector, or not rim protector, but a slasher and trying to attack the basket. So you're just drafting this guy based on shooting, and the Lakers last year struggled from three, especially with their wings. They could not find anyone that could shoot a three. They traded for Malik Beasley, and that man just forgot how to shoot threes. And that's kind of the only thing he's good for right now is shooting threes. So getting a guy like that could spot up for LeBron or AD when the defense collapses, I think is a great pick here at 17. At 18, Miami Heat, they obviously just came off of losing in the NBA Finals. There's a lot of rumors about them trading this pick for potentially a Damian Lillard. They were in it for Bradley Beal. What are they going to do here at 18? Well, I don't do mock trades. I just do mock picks. So Miami's drafting here at 18, and they're going to take Nick Smith Jr., a guard out of Arkansas, a name that a lot of you probably are familiar with. He was a top prospect, guy who was guaranteed to be a top 3 pick in this draft, and just got hurt before the season, kind of halted his freshman year, came back, shot really inefficiently, had some really good games down the stretch where he showed a lot of improvement, could get really hot from 3, shows a lot of hustle on the court, great speed and bounce. I think if you're looking at it from Miami, you have Kyle Lowry who's aging. Gabe Vincent, who's going to be a free agent. How much are you willing to pay him to come back? I don't know. But Nick Smith Jr., a guy that's young, can go for the future past Jimmy Butler playing there with a lot of upside. So why not take a swing on that? And if you trade this pick or you trade Nick Smith eventually down the line here this offseason after you already draft him, that's a prospect that people are going to want to take a swing on at 18 with Miami. And now number 19. Obviously, nobody wants to watch the Warriors win anymore. I think a lot of people are tired of watching the Warriors win. They pick at 19 here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get them another winner. And with Draymond Green going into free agency and opting out that player option, there's a chance he can leave the Warriors. Do I think he will? I don't truly think he will. I think he'll sign for less. But if he does leave, they're going to need a new Swiss Army knife on their team. And a guy that has really absolutely skyrocketed up draft boards here in the past couple days, Jaime Jaquez out of UCLA. You probably know him if you see him. You probably know the name. A guy who, there's not one thing he just does good. He does everything great, right? Sure, you look at his percentages from three. It doesn't fit the Warriors mold, but that's what the Warriors do. They develop guys, right? That's their big thing. They develop a lot of these young guys that don't go as high and become really good. Jordan Poole, right? You look at Jaime Jaquez. He's an older guy coming out of college, had a lot of success in the tournament, and he's not going to be the most athletic guy, despite his vertical. I think it was number 1 or 2 in the draft combine. He's got some hops. But he's just a guy who's going to hustle, and he's a winning player. If he drops more, I wouldn't hate if Memphis took him at 25. Honestly, as a Grizzlies fan, I wouldn't hate it. Granted, the shooting is a thing that, could be questioned, but he's just a winner. And the Warriors like getting guys who are winners. They've stated multiple times that they don't want to draft any more project guys. So at 19, if you're not going to trade this pick, go get a guy who's older in college and has success playing a player of the year finalist, a conference player of the year, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. out of UCLA. Now we're back into the not to the top 20, the last 10 picks of the draft. At 20, the Houston Rockets are picking. This pick is from the Los Angeles Clippers in the Eric Gordon trade this year at the deadline. Houston, here at 20, are not looking to keep this pick. They want to get rid of it. They're trying to trade back. I don't know how many suitors they're going to have. I assume they're going to have a bunch, but I don't know what the return would look like at 20 depending on the team. But I'm going to take Leonard Miller here, a forward out of the G League Ignite, who I really, really, really like. Brings great defensive upside as a wing/stretch 4. Can rebound really well at the G League level. He's played in the G League, which are other professionals that are playing down there. You're getting a guy who's improving on shooting. We talked about it in the last episode where we went over my top 5 guys that are underrated, I think, in this draft. He's taking the threes. It's not an issue on if he's willing to take the threes. He's willing to. It's just, can he start to finally hit them? And his jump shot doesn't look too bad. With Ime Udoka being the new head coach, you need a guy that's going to be an anchor on the defensive end. You got Tari Eason, who's really good defensively. Why not get another guy like Leonard Miller? Sure, they might go get Dylan Brooks in the offseason or somebody like that could play defense. But drafting a guy like Leonard Miller, who is really young, has proven he can do it at the G League level, which is a professional level, is a good upside take here for the Rockets at 20. And we're going to quickly do 21 and 22 because the Nets own both of these picks. 21 is from Phoenix in the Kevin Durant trade, and then 22 is their own. First guy I have at 21 is Keontae George, a guard from Baylor, who I really like. A lot of people don't seem to be high on him because he's undersized for his position. They come into question with his defense, I guess, even though he's got a high motor and is willing to defend at a high level just strictly based off of his aggression. I guess you can look at his percentages and be like, not too exciting. But I think Keontae George slipping this fall is understandable with that aspect. I just don't think he slips any farther than this. You could see some other teams trying to trade up and maybe take a shot on him here. Maybe like a Charlotte, a Utah, maybe an Orlando that just drafted Grady Dick going and getting more shooting. Keontae George is here at 21. And then at 22, Noah Clowney, the forward/center out of Alabama. A guy who is a really solid defensive player, will go and get you boards and has shown some upside on being a stretch 4. You can play him next to Claxton eventually. Right now he'll play behind him, which I think is a really good big man to come off the bench. He can work in the pick and roll game. A potential pick here from Brooklyn going after potential. See what I did there? That's some next level reporting stuff right there. At 23, obviously, the Portland Trail Blazers pick Scoot Henderson at number 3. Whether Dame is there or not after that pick, we do not know. So at 23 here, they're going to go ahead and go with another upside pick. And yeah, this could be traded for a veteran player, sure. First of all, this pick is from New York, the Knicks via the Josh Hart trade, I believe. So the Trailblazers are going to select Ryan Rupert, a forward out of New Zealand, the NBL. Things about Rupert is you see him going really low on some boards early and has now really shot back up. He was a projected lottery guy and then went all the way down because didn't have a great testing at the combine. People weren't really ready to take that full shot when you can trust these other college guys you've seen in America play. But Rupert has gotten a green room invite, which is you're getting to sit at one of the tables at the NBA draft. So that kind of leads me to believe that he's going to be a first-round pick, or he's just going to be that guy who is shown all night on camera like Will Levis until he's picked. And it's just an embarrassment for him. But keep in mind, this whole draft is in one night. There's no 2 nights. It's all 2 rounds in one night. But Rupert brings great defensive upside as a forward, super athletic from film. Sure, he didn't test well, but that's just one test. The eye test on film shows otherwise. He said he wants to be a great 3-and-D player in the league. Haven't really seen much of the 3 part of the 3-and-D, but again, getting into an NBA system, an NBA organization, you can improve on that and get with shot doctors that will, want to be able to help out with that type of stuff. So Ryan Rupert to be the pick at 23 here to Portland would be an upside pick. 24, we're going to go really quick because I think everyone in the entire universe knows that Sacramento is going to be taking Chris Murray here, the twin brother of Keegan Murray out of Iowa. If they don't pick Chris Murray here to reunite him with his twin brother, Sacramento's beam is about to get lit up one more time, but right towards a trajectory toward their stadium and organization, because this is bad karma if they don't take his brother here. I think it's almost a guarantee that this is going to happen unless another team takes him beforehand. Obviously, you guys are here for 25, and 25 is where the Memphis Grizzlies sit and pick here. I think they trade up. If we've seen anything about the Grizzlies in past drafts under Zach Kleiman, he's trading up. There's no doubt in my mind. So get ready for a Grizzlies trade. Whether Tyus Jones is involved or not, we'll find out. So I have a guy here at 25 that we talked about him the last time we did my top 5 underrated prospects. I really like him a lot. And with Tyus Jones potentially being traded here, almost guaranteed to be traded this offseason, go ahead and use this 25th overall pick to get a guy that will replace that backup point guard spot. Brandon Podziemski is going to be a guy that is going to come in and play on and off the ball, can play with Ja and doesn't have to play with him. He said that during the NBA Combine scrimmage games, it was his first time in his college career that he has had to play off the ball consistently. He said it felt weird, but he performed like really well with it, shot really well. He's a lefty, little white dude, but with a quick release, high arcing release. There's just a lot of tools about him. His rebounding skills, a lot of his hustle and aggression that make him a really good NBA player. A lot of people have him going higher. I certainly think he's going to go higher, but I'm also a hypocritical fan that is really selfish and wants the perfect guy to fall into our lap. So will Pods be there by the 25th pick? Probably not. With my luck, he's going to the Warriors. But can I be hopeful? Yes. So that's why I'm picking Pods here at 25 for the Grizzlies, a guard out of Santa Clara, 6'5", by the way, who plays point guard and shoots 42% from 3. That's pretty good if you were to ask me. 26 here goes to the Indiana Pacers via the Cleveland Cavaliers, a part of the, I believe, Karis LeVert trade from a year and a half ago. In the Ricky Rubio Karis LeVert trade, maybe? I think that's what it is. That would make sense on what trade it would be. Anyway, the Pacers are picking here at 26, and they're going to go with Bryce Sensabaugh, forward out of Ohio State. This is the other guy I could see the Grizzlies taking. The only thing about Sensabaugh, fantastic scorer, potentially the best scorer, like pure scorer in this draft class immediately. He will come in for Indiana and make an impact immediately, kind of like how Benedict Mathurin did last year. I think Bryce Sensabaugh is that good offensively. Now, he's not that athletic. He's not that great of a defender. So that's going to be coming into some questions, hence why I'm putting him on a team that is willing to develop their players and take some time. Memphis isn't even in a spot to develop any more guys for a long-term project right now. It's time to get some guys that can help you immediately. But Indiana, they're kind of at this middling point where, yeah, they want to compete a little bit to get into the play-in playoffs, but they're also patient with the guys they draft. Bryce Sensabaugh, a perfect pick here for the Pacers who need and want wings. At 27, the Charlotte Hornets had this pick via the Denver Nuggets. I'm drawing a blank on where this trade, even like how the Denver Nuggets and the Hornets made a trade. It'll probably come to me eventually, but I have Olivier Maxence Prosper, a forward out of Marquette, going here at 27 to Charlotte. Omax Prosper is a guy who has shot up draft boards due to his athleticism and size on the defensive end, becomes an impact for a team immediately. Sure, there's some questions about his shooting. He can find his way around the rim, very smart and crafty around the rim. I don't think it would be a bad pick if Memphis picked him at 25, hint, hint, wink, wink, but I think he falls a little bit more. He might go higher. I think he falls a little bit. And Charlotte would be a great place to pick him based on the fact of LaMelo wanting to have this incredible lob game with one of his players. And since Miles Bridges isn't there anymore because of some off-the-court stuff we won't get into, I think everybody knows, Omax Prosper could be the guy to come in there and be that quick and transition lob guy for the Hornets. At 28, the Utah Jazz are picking via the Philadelphia 76ers. Once again, I can't even tell you what this trade is from. I'm sure if I look back on it, it's going to be some like George Niang. Actually, it probably is exactly the George Niang trade or something that got him there. George Niang used to be on the Jazz. Connecting dots here, folks, on the fly. This is live. So the Jazz are picking here at 28. I'm going to have them taking Maxwell Lewis, a forward out of Pepperdine. Another guy a lot of teams really like, the future upside of, really good scorer. Same with Bryce Sensabaugh. Really good scorer. There's no doubt about his shooting skills. Questions about the defense. Question about his athleticism, his motor to play on the defensive end. Got to go to a team that's going to want to develop him. Utah, pick Jalen Hood-Schifino and Jarris Walker. Go and get you another wing to play behind Lauri Markkanen. He can even play the 4 if you want to go small ball offensively, especially since some of your forwards are Ochai Agbaji, who is undersized for a forward, Talen Horton-Tucker, undersized for a forward. It really just, it depends on what young team wants to draft him. I think that Utah could be that team that is takes a shot on him. But although I think a lot of teams might want to trade up and get him. At 29 here, we were rounding out the final 2 picks in the first round. The Denver Nuggets, who just won the NBA championship, just said, hey, you know what, let's maximize our window and trade for a first-round pick here. They traded some future assets to be able to get 29 and 32 in the draft. And they have 29 here, and they're going to go with the same recipe that they have last year with picking Christian Brown and picking a guy who is a national champion and is a winning player. They're going to pick Andre Jackson Jr., a guard from UConn. Very important piece to the defensive side of that UConn team winning. A lot of people, that's how he kind of jumped out of the board. A lot of people really liked the way that he impacted that team. I think Andre Jackson could be the guy to go here at 29. It's just a Nuggets thing to do. Getting a guy that is going to be a great defensive player, can impact the game multiple ways offensively. And like I said, the Christian Brown correlation, guy who just won a national championship, draft him at the end of the first round, plug and play him whenever you need to, and he's going to be ready to win and play whenever. Denver getting a steal here at 29. I think Andre Jackson's a really good player for this draft. Projected early second rounder, but in Denver's system, he's going to just play perfectly, obviously. And then at number 30, which literally minutes before finishing writing up all this stuff about the draft, the Washington Wizards made the trade for Porzingis, and now I had to change my whole thing for 30 for the number 30 pick for the Wizards. Now that the Clippers aren't picking there, the Wizards are now. And I'm going to go with a guy by the name of James Naji. He's a center out of Nigeria. Gained a lot of traction recently with his workout. You've probably seen him working out with Serge Ibaka. Super tall, athletic center. Going to go and get you a lot of rebounds. be a big body on the defensive end, and super athletic that goes up and catches lobs and runs out in transition. It looks like a lot of strength for this team, especially since trading Porzingis. You now only have Daniel Gafford, and trading Isaiah Todd away over to the Phoenix Suns in the Bradley Beal trade. You now only have Daniel Gafford. So why not go ahead and pick up a guy like James Najee who can play the center spot for you and for the future alongside Daniel Gafford. That's all 30 picks in the first round that I have mock. Again, trades are going to happen immediately upon me posting this video, so just be prepared. Again, you want to see my whole second round, right? There's a lot of guys here at the start of the second round that should have been first rounders, but I think that a lot of people are trending towards being a second round pick. Go ahead, yoursportsdigest.com. Go check out the NBA mock draft. Under NBA mock drafts and final 2023 mock draft. Let's go over to some of the sportsbook picks right now. I think if you're looking at some of these picks, there's some good value picks, right? If you're looking at guys, NBA draft top 10 pick on a sportsbook that, again, shall not be named because I would love a sponsor someday from somebody. Derek Lively is plus 170 to be a top 10 pick, or that means to be drafted in the top 10. Derek Lively, plus 170. I like that a lot. I also don't hate a flyer on Grady Dick at plus 380 to be in the top 10. He was a top 10 pick for a long time until things started to swing and sway the other way. Top 20 pick, Jet Howard, minus 150. I like that. Brandon Podziemski, we already talked about him a little bit. He can go higher. Plus 130, I like that. Leonard Miller, plus 130, I like that. Jaime Jaquez, plus 170, I like that as well for him going to the Warriors like I mentioned there. Leonard Miller, top 20 pick. He could go 20 to the Rockets. There's some over-unders with some of the guys. I don't want to touch any of them, really. I don't like most of them. I'll be honest with you. I do like the under on Taylor Hendricks' draft position, though, 8.5. I know a lot of people have him slipping, but it's plus 128 to go under 8.5 on his draft position. I like that under a little bit as well. And I think that's pretty much it. Looking at the rest of these, they're not really good odds because everybody knows who's going in the top 3 and 5 pretty much. So that's going to be it for the NBA draft. This is, again, probably my favorite time of the year. It's just so much fun to look at these guys and project where their future could be, what these teams' futures are going to look like. And then literally in like 3 weeks, they're going to turn around and play a bunch of games in the summer league, and you get to watch all these guys just like they just did in college and all these workouts. It's a bunch of fun to watch. Again, yoursportsdigest.com. I have all of the stuff on there for you to read on. You can follow along with it on draft night to see how much I get right and wrong, and you can make fun of me for it. That's fun. If you want to look at my big board on draft night and not listen to Jay Billis's big board, or Adrian Wojnarowski's big board because he doesn't really know much about scouting, that's fine. Look at mine. I've watched plenty of highlights. I've watched plenty of film. I know more than some of those guys do about basketball, especially Woj. No, I'm joking. But if you want to follow along with a lot of that stuff, yoursportsdigest.com. Follow all my social medias for all that stuff. Is there an episode coming out tonight and Friday after the NBA draft? Probably. If anything crazy happens during the NBA draft, we might do a quick episode Friday just to recap a lot of the stuff that happened crazy and then just get on out of there since I've overloaded you guys on stuff this week. But the NBA draft, Thursday night, tomorrow night, tonight, whenever you're listening to it, I believe 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, probably NBA TV if you have that. You can find it anywhere. You can follow it on your phone, whatever you want to do. Tune in and watch a bunch of this stuff. I will for sure be tuned in and have a lot of stuff going on the website as well. Thank you all again for continuing supporting me. and listening to this if you have tonight, or looking at the stuff on the website. If you looked at the stuff on the website, send me a message and let me know what you think. I get some people don't want to listen to 45 minutes of it. So if you listen to it, let me know what you think. If you read it, let me know what you think. I appreciate it all again. I'm Alex McNinch, and you just got your Sports Digest. I'll see y'all Friday.